Look, we had a good relationship, a very solid relationship with the first Trump administration. Yes, there were some issues, mostly trade-related issues, but there were a whole lot of issues on which actually President Trump was very international, he was very forward-leaning, and I remind people that it was actually under Trump that the Quad was restarted. So if you look at the Indo-Pacific today, I mean certainly President Biden built on it, but if you look at the Indo-Pacific today, in fact it's an area where the United States made new commitments, as indeed did all of us. So I would say from our perspective, quite honestly, I mean, there's a certain personal relationship between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. I would say in terms of politics, we don't really have divisive issues in terms of our political outlook. As two countries, by and large, I think our convergences way outstrip any differences we have. Where the BRICS remark was concerned, I think, look, India has never been for de-dollarization. Right now, there is no proposal to have a BRICS currency. So I'm not quite sure what is the basis for.
He said if you stop pegging it to the dollar, but there wasn't a threat to do that, was it?
Well, the BRICS do discuss financial transactions, but certainly where India, the BRICS doesn't, each country doesn't have an identical position on this. But where India is concerned, certainly, look, the United States is our largest trade partner, and we have no interest in weakening the dollar at all. But I just want to make one remark on come back to the Middle East. The core issue undoubtedly is Palestine and Israel's relationship. How do they reach a modus vivendi? There's a larger issue side by side, which is the widening of this conflict, which is also a major concern. And, today we have, I don't want to say we normalized it, but the fact is 2 years ago, the prospect of Israel and Iran actually firing at each other would have been appalling. It's something which we couldn't have even contemplated. And yet it's happened. If you look at what's happening in the Red Sea and the impact for shipping in Asia, it's huge. So I think, there are different sort of challenges, layers of them. But just like the journalists who sat on these chairs before us told us, look, it's a tough world, very difficult, but we journalists have to do our job. Yeah. I think similarly, diplomats of the world have to tell themselves, it's a messy world, it's terrible, there are conflicts, but therefore there's all the more reason for diplomats of the world to step forward. And that era, which we saw in the 60s and 70s, which is either the Security Council managed it, or a few countries, mostly the major powers did it. I think that era is behind us. Yeah. I think all of us in different ways need to step forward. So, for example, what Qatar is doing, there are so many conflicts. We are trying to do something in Ukraine. We see Myanmar as almost a kind of a forgotten conflict, where there's an approach like, let's not invite them and the problem will solve itself. So I think there is a greater case for more vigorous diplomacy, for more innovative diplomacy, for a more participative diplomacy, and I think more countries need to have the boldness to bite that bullet.